Good morning.
Good morning. Today is October 11th, I believe, right?
It is indeed. Yeah.
11th, 2024. And we're very happy that you joined us today. It's just a few days till Valentine's Day. So of course, we're going to be talking about love. And the love is of several types. Romantic love, of course, because that's what we think of with Valentine's Day. But we're also inevitably going to be talking about the love of and for God, because that's the ultimate love. And so we were just talking about romantic love. We were chatting before our
Before we start
talk here.
recording,
Before we started recording, and we were talking about the book a few years ago about I think it's 4 love languages, about how we express our love, because it used to be that people didn't express love very often. It took, if I married you, that tells you I love you, and that was supposed to be enough to last you for a lifetime. And of course, there are lots of different degrees of this, of how people show their love. But when you learn the languages, then the different ways that people express love, then you can better talk about it. And you have to talk about it. If you want the most out of your love life, you need to talk about what you want, what you need, what you would prefer. And people don't do that. They expect their partner to be a mind reader and think to themselves, if you loved me, you would. And the other person never gets to know that. You get to just hold it as a big resentment, and he or she may never know. So what are the 4 love languages? As I'm trying to remember them, since we just brought it up, it was by giving gifts.
would it be a wrong time to ask for a Porsche Boxster?
Yes, it would.
Okay, just checking.
Gifts, showing gifts. Help me out here. I'm
Touch?
Touch, I think, is one. Yeah, touch is one. The other is by
Taking out the garbage?
acts. I think that
Yeah.
is one. Acts. What you? Well, I'd show you I love you by doing things for you. And did I say gifts?
Yes.
Gifts,
Gifts,
touch, telling you,
Yeah, words.
and
Actions.
and then actions. So, but if you would like to be told more often that you're loved, bring it up. Bring it up. Tell your partner. Be nice to be told occasionally that you love me. Um, or gifts are fine. I love gifts, but
The
I'd
greatest,
like some touching.
right, the greatest gifts you can give are the gifts that aren't makeup gifts.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I think you can't tell your partner that you love them enough, even though the love struckness of falling in love may diminish. What grows are all the little ways that you even struggle together. When you struggle together with an issue, you grow closer and are bonded more closely. I have some quotes that I wanted to share, and some of them are about spiritual love. So that's okay. Um, so Eric Butterworth says, when you get centered in God as you, God in you, there's a natural rhythmic flow of the universe, outpouring and infilling, outpouring and infilling. This stillness allows you to know that God cannot be more present anywhere than is present everywhere.
So if we extend that, another part of that is looking for and seeing the God in another person.
Yes.
And so part of I love you is seeing who it is you're loving. It isn't just a say I love you. It's taking a moment to look at this person that you're with and saying, what is there about this person that I can love? Where is the godness in that person? Where's the goodness in that person? And how can I celebrate that? How can I recognize that? Words are not in and of themselves as valuable as the meaning that is behind them and the action that follows and precedes those words too.
And it's also knowing or having a hunch of what your partner would like right now. And, perhaps offering that as a possible thing to do or share or whatnot. You know, I know you're always thinking about me and thinking what I might like a walk on the beach on Saturday mornings. That's a good start for my weekend to say this is something special. This is something we do together because we can't do it during the week. And it's something that I enjoy and starts the weekend off. So I love it when he suggests it. And I know he suggests it more for me than for him. So I appreciate that too. And you do that for one another. Those little things make the difference. Uh, but the biggest thing is being able to talk about it, because if you try to talk about it and you're afraid you're going to make the other person angry or feel like they're not doing a good job or whatnot, you'll be afraid to bring it up, or afraid they'll get mad, or
Yeah.
afraid they'll dismiss it. Well, you just have to have the courage
Right. Just don't
to
start the
do that.
conversation with "we need to talk."
That's true. That's as if we're not talking every
Oh my
day, right?
goodness,
Now we
this is.
need to
I'll be
talk.
back in a while. Yeah, I need to go someplace. I'm not sure where. Yeah.
Uh, um, so I love this quote by Meister Eckhart. Meister Eckhart was a preacher in the church in the 1200s. And he said, "The awakened heart is like a luminous sphere, just giving without thought to any who may come close or gaze at it. The soul becomes blessedly lost to all but its own holy being." Meister Eckhart. The awakened heart is like a luminous sphere. So, because it's always just giving, luminous, like giving off light. And that's what being in love is like. You're feeling and giving the love of God, because that's really the love that I think we feel.
And it's the love that we're giving that opens the door for not only our receiving, but for the validation of the love that we're giving. When we share our love with another person, it validates that love is present and that it is a gift, and it opens the door for the internal process to awaken to even more and more and more. When, I see people all the time when they people will say, "You have a glow." What is the glow? I just fell in love. So tell me about that. Oh, I love the birds. I love the trees. I love the smell of the morning. I love everything because I'm in love with a person. And so, but when they're in love with a person, they don't then restrict their love in general. So whatever we love opens the door to more love and more ways to love.
Exactly. And I entitled this talk "Treat Yourself to Love," because in fact you can do that. By treat, I'm talking about our form of affirmative prayer treatment. But when you want more love in your life, and you feel like you don't have it, you can treat yourself, your consciousness, to attract it.
Mhm.
And I did for many years. I treated for a loving, harmonious relationship. Thought I was treating for the man that I was married to, who I didn't feel. He said he loved me, so he said the words, but I didn't feel it. It wasn't felt with the rest of his actions, and so it didn't feel like a loving, harmonious relationship to me. And I somehow knew that could exist for me, but I really was trying to change him, which doesn't work, by the way. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So I changed my consciousness to expect and feel like I deserved the relationship that I thought was possible, with real sharing and affirming of one another, meaning lifting each other up. Um, some people are afraid, if I lift you up, you'll think you're too good for me. So I need to put you down all the time. And that's not love.
No,
That is not love. So, but with mutual respect and admiration, you can lift each other up. And that's a way of showing each other that you love each other too. So that was what I was wanting, love, that kind of love and that kind of harmony. And it took a number of years. I used to say 6 years, I quit counting, but I think it was longer than 6 years before I met you, Bob. But at any rate, I did get a loving, harmonious relationship. Much like I was, it's very much like what I was treating for, what I was doing affirmative prayer for. So your consciousness attracts what you get. And your consciousness is everything that you believe about yourself, about love, about the possibility of it, about your worthiness. Do you deserve it? All of that has to come into play. So I think I had a lot of work to do. Um, I think my parents loved each other, but I didn't see the expression of that love as much as I would have liked. I saw an expression of affection. They were affectionate to each other, which was nice. I was pleased that I got to see that, that they hugged and kissed each other and things like that. But I didn't see the total package of really totally caring and wanting the best for the other person. And that's really wonderful when you get to experience that. I think we can be happy without it. I think we can love ourselves, love life, love God, and have a perfectly meaningful life, full of love.
What's interesting to me is that when you were treating for a loving, harmonious relationship, you weren't treating for somebody with money that would take care of you. You weren't treating for somebody to fix you. You know, what we need to pay attention to when we think about a loving relationship is what does that actually look like? And does it encourage and support our best and our highest? Or is it to fill a hole or a gap that somehow we feel we can't fill on our own and we need somebody else to do that? What's true in a relationship is that each person has strengths that the other person may not have, and that blending or that working together increases the strength of both of them. But looking for a relationship to fulfill a deficit is really a perilous journey. And I know a lot of people who, when they say, "I just want somebody, I want somebody that just that's all I want is this," and they've made their request very small, or they've made it really, really big, and it's about what's missing and what's wrong rather than what's right. One of the things that I enjoyed in the relationship when I discovered Judith was that we had a lot in common that wasn't about how much we needed each other, but how much we enjoyed the same things and we valued similar things, and we could share those things rather than try to be that other person's everything or whatever that person needed. And there's a difference in that kind of love.
And some of those things were things that your parents might have told you that
Yeah.
you ignored, poo-pooed. For example, it became very important to me to find someone that had the same or similar spiritual beliefs, beliefs about God and the way the universe works and all of that. And I found that in Bob, and it was that was the hardest to find and was wonderful. And it has been wonderful because then we have similar values of what's important to us. Um, so I was specific in that way. I did know that that's what I wanted. Then we shared the same career. And that was really fun. And I really wanted to work professionally and have that be valued, not just tolerated, but valued. And I got that. So it really made the harmony
Yeah.
quite a bit easier to share that much in common. And and then like and respect each other and have fun together too. All of that is important. Probably easier because we did not have children together. You know, children are a lot of work, and
Well,
we had our children, but we just didn't
there
have
was
them
some
together.
research I read a long time ago that people who don't want children do not survive as well in the marriage as those who want children. But those who want children and have them don't survive as well as the ones who didn't want them. Because children are hard on the marriage. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, well,
That's
wanting them
funny.
says that you're open to supporting more than yourself, and that kind of openness seems to facilitate a stronger relationship when you can love something other than you or the person that you're with. Or you can love a small creature that's going to depend on you for everything for quite a long time. If you have that kind of love, you're more likely to be able to thrive in all loving relationships.
Well, what we see a lot with couples and families is that they will often stay together, putting up with what they don't like about being married to each other for the sake of the child or the children. And then when the child or the children, the last child goes off to college, and so they have an empty house, then they split because they have just been putting up with each other.
You know, and they have
And
nothing more in common
and
than the
that's
common
sad.
child.
That's a
Yeah.
shame, you know, because there's a lot of life to enjoy, even when your children are grown and away, because every holiday is an opportunity to get together with family again, and it's a shame to mess that up or miss it because you weren't able to talk together, or you weren't willing to go to therapy to work on your marriage, because you know, we just weren't taught everything that we need to know about how to communicate and how to approach with your partner things that you're not satisfied with in your marriage, because chances are you could agree to do some things or allow some things that would help that, and a therapist definitely helps you do that. And I think things are better now as far as going to someone, but I know when I should have been going, I didn't know anybody who saw a therapist, and I thought that would really being admitting that there
We,
was something really wrong with you
weakness, yeah, failure and weakness.
instead of that you could
I
use
don't
some
need a
help.
therapist. I can work this out on my own.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Um,
So, and I want to extend this a little bit further. Not everybody that is in our viewing audience is necessarily in a relationship right now.
right.
But what I think is important is that the relationships you have allow for love, whether it's a relationship with something that you're doing that you're passionate about, a cause or a purpose that you feel is really, really valuable. Bringing love to that equation uh, changes everything. And so, what I've noticed about love, as opposed to work that doesn't include love is a different kind of work than work that includes the capacity to love and the opportunity to share love. I know it for myself working in the mental health field. When I bring love to the table, it's a different relationship than when I say, well, I got to be here for 8 hours. Let's see what I can do. And I mean, I have days like that, as all of us do, where I just put in my time. But if you keep putting in your time and you don't put in your heart, what eventually happens is you don't know what's wrong, but you know something's wrong. A lot of people that I see that are unable to care about anyone else don't realize that they stopped caring. They just think that something's missing that ought to be replaced, or that something's wrong with them. And so, in inventory of your own loving nature, it would be really helpful to look at, what do I love? How do I love it? How patient am I with it? I was drawing with some clients the other day, and one of the clients I was working with had been working on a piece of artwork for about 2 hours and made a mistake. And he picked up the piece that he was working on, crumbled it up, and said, "It's ruined." And I asked him, I said, "Is this what you do in relationships?" He said, "Wow, that's exactly what I do. Everything is perfect until there's a mistake, and then it's over." And I know people that have that in mind, that if anything goes wrong, it's over. So they're not actually loving each other. They're living in a dangerous situation where they're hoping not to offend the other one and then lose everything.
Very interesting, yes. And also what's important, if you don't have a partner that you're in love with or working on that relationship, it just everyone you're with is someone to love. You know, you can either have an attitude that the world is against me and I don't trust anybody, or we're all one family and let's be loving with one another. You know, I have a couple of quotes about, you know, life just in general. We will always have challenges, but both our founder, Ernest Holmes, talked about love is letting go of fear, and so does Marianne Williamson. Her source of study has been extensive, but was largely through A Course in Miracles initially. And so she says the spiritual journey is the relinquishment of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. Love is the essential existential fact. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life. And she is not talking about a partner, because I don't think she has one. I haven't kept up with her personal life, but I know for most of her life she has not. And she's talking about loving all humans loving life, loving God,
Mhm.
allowing love to be your primary objective, to feel and express love. It's a circular thing. And as you give, you do receive. So the love you give out always comes back. I was reading a story about a woman who was walking in a park. It was cold, and there was an old man kind of shriveled up, and he had a very thin coat, and he had a paper bag around his neck to keep the cold out. And she was thinking, gee, I'd like to just take off my scarf and put it around his neck, but I don't know who he is, and I don't know how he would react. And she was debating the whole situation, and a little girl runs up, takes off her scarf, puts it around his neck, and I think kissed his hand and then ran away. And she felt so one-upped. You know, the little
Well, I
girl
think,
didn't have any fear.
I think it's an embarrassment to discover how fragile our giving can be, how unwilling we are to take any chances with it.
Right,
And
yeah.
maybe then that's one of the reasons that there's not as much love as there could be. I think we have to reach a little further. I was working in a hospital setting a while back, and I was a problem solver. That was what they hired me to do. And there was several people in the lobby that were having a hard time. So I was in the lobby working with them and talking to them. And then I talked to somebody else. And this gentleman who was well dressed and well presented and clearly an executive type said to me, why are you nice like that to all of these people? Some of them are really jerks. And I looked at him and I said, I need to practice. And the truth is, we all need to practice. We need to practice loving in all situations. And the more we practice loving in more the more we discover there's more ways to love. There's more we can love. So this is really today about opening the door to loving in every area of your life that love is possible. And if it hasn't seemed possible, ask yourself, what would happen if I brought it in? And we go back to, and I think it's A Course in Miracles that talks about there's only really two emotions. One is love and the other is fear. And so what I see are people that are often afraid of love or afraid to love or afraid they're not being loved. And that's what they live in is fear, as opposed to I can love everything I do is love, everything that I want to do, I bring love to it. How can I bring love to, how can I season my life with love rather than have an unseasoned life? And I think that is really the core of it. And the more we practice, the better we get it, and the more we enjoy it. And that attracts the kind of people that we want to have in our life. And I remember hearing a long time ago when if you're dating somebody on that first date and they treat the waiter or the waitress badly, that's a clue that you need to be careful that this is not a person you necessarily want to be in a relationship with, because if they treat somebody they don't know badly, what makes you think they're going to treat you differently when they're not happy with you?
Mhm.
And so how we practice anywhere is how we practice everywhere. If we practice bringing love to every occasion, then we get better at being able to do that.
I found the quote by Ernest Holmes about this. He says, what would happen if we could convert the energy of fear to faith,
Perfect timing.
the energy of doubt, the energy of doubt and uncertainty into a feeling of belonging to the universe and being safe in it? Would not the original artist himself, meaning God, go forth into new creation through us? So if we convert the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt and uncertainty to the feeling of belonging to the universe and being safe in it. So that's love too, isn't it? It's feeling the love of the Creator for us and knowing that that's so. We certainly know that that's so from all of the near-death stories and the stories of people who've been to the other side and come back. They experience nothing but love and acceptance from all of their loved ones who were here before, and and just all of the guides and entities that they experience. So we believe that that's true, that really this whole experience of life is one of love. We have chosen to come to earth which has its own particular challenges and its own opportunities to experience the appearance of lack of love, because we certainly have had those feelings. But we signed up for that, that's something that we signed up for. And our job here is to learn to experience love and express it.
To bring ourselves to that occasion. I go to the sink a dozen times a day and there's never any water at the sink. I have to turn it on. And until we turn on that faucet, till we turn on that willingness to love, if it isn't there, it's because we didn't turn it on. We didn't bring it to the occasion.
Exactly.
It's always there. And I'm always amazed with when I have fun with people and make a joke of something, that no matter how bad things are for them, when they laugh and they'll smile, and you can suddenly feel that glimmer of love that they've been wanting, that they didn't know they were missing, and that you didn't know you could actually bring to someone else's life.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really good at that. And I love being with you when you do it, because suddenly sudden strangers just light up. Everybody's waiting to be loved and to be acknowledged, and to have it be safe to talk to you.
We had some people coming home yesterday and they were walking up the steps and you could see that they were tired from their day out at whatever they were doing. And they looked up and said hi. And I said, hi, we're here to greet you. We're the greeting committee. And they both laughed and smiled. And then we must have talked for 10 minutes. And so we create an opening, if we want to, for connection. And when we bring that, we open that connection, we then can share and we can love, and we can have a whole different quality of life.
Exactly. So if it is to be, it's up to me. So that's my challenge for all of you. Just love more. Just love more and receive more love as you're giving. As you give, you do receive. So while we're speaking about that, we're going to share with you also the financial support that as you give of your financial good, you receive more. That's the way the law works.
Right.
And so I know many of you give generously and on a planned way, and we really appreciate that.
And if you've never given, you watch us on YouTube, or you watch us on after we're done, and you like what you're hearing, and you haven't ever supported us financially, consider doing that. And after you do that, ask yourself how you feel. And if it feels good and it feels right for you, then it was the right thing to do, and we thank you. And if it doesn't feel right, well, then don't do it. But find something that you do feel good about that you can support. One of the groups that I support financially, although not much, is Playing for Change, a music group. I love what they're doing. It makes me feel good to think that every time they go in concert, I'm a part of that, even though it's a $5 commitment. It's still.
Yeah, it's still but $5 that you give regularly.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and it's part of that music group is my group.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and share what you want.
So on our website, which is cslpalmbeaches.org, you can go to ways to donate, and there are 3 different ways you can donate, or set up regular giving plans. And so let's say right now this affirmation of prosperity. My investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply, and God returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
Great.
So that is how we know that it's true, that as we give, we do receive.
And we're going to end here.
It's a flowing.
Where's